Decentralized training is humanity's last stand. These things start to inherit agentic behaviors and function calling, all those things that used to be auxiliary services. So my thesis is that eventually everything will collapse into training. And those that are able to train have the most valuable resources. Creating a base model is literally the cosmic energy of the universe. It's harnessing fire. So we can't assume that the hyperscalers, Google, Meta, Alibaba, do you know why? They will burn our books. They will rewrite history if we let them do that. It's such an important fight. And it's very easy because Mark Zuckerberg is wearing gold chains now, kind of like the ones you've got on, it doesn't mean this guy didn't steal democracy twice. The purpose of power is to be able to give it away. Templar is successful when I can transfer ownership of that owner key to someone or some entity, and we left assured that we've created something of enduring value. Decoupled momentum. So what that is just a Tokay sparsification compression method, yeah? Where instead of broadcasting the whole gradient, you analyze it. You run it through like some DCT formula. You analyze it and say, okay, from this gradient, these are the most important layers. They're the fast-moving components of momentum. So let's discard everything else and just send this compressed bit. When you go through transformers and there's a lot of redundant layers, there's a lot of dead layers, but you can analyze the most important ones and pick them out and just send them over. So that's what Demo is.
Welcome to the Ventura Labs podcast. Today, we're joined by Sam, the visionary behind Templar, a pioneering platform for decentralized, permissionless training of foundational AI models. Driven by a mission to secure freedom and sovereignty, Sam shares his relentless journey into Bittensor to forge an open, anti-fragile AI ecosystem. He explores Templar's decentralized training, the vital role of miners, and the challenge of scaling AI to compete with Google's dominance, offering insights on tokenized model ownership and a commitment to creating lasting value. Now, back to Sam with the 46th Ventura Labs podcast. All right, Sam, you're the subnet owner of Subnet 3, Templar. It's good to have you on the show today. How you doing, man?
I'm amazing. Thanks for having me, Grant.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to get you here. So you guys are very viral on SoundCloud right now. You have one of the best tracks out. Many thousands of listeners. What inspired the SoundCloud?
It's absolutely crazy you asked that. So basically, a couple of months ago, because I worked very closely with Jake, and he mentors and he even helps with design of Templar sometimes. So it came to fundraising, and I was trying to fill a VC deck, and they were asking questions and valuations, and Jake lost his shit and sent me a voice note. Then he decided that, fuck this, everyone needs to hear this voice note. And he posted it in the Templar. Then in the beginning, I was like, oh, Jake, why did you post that? Everyone's going to think I'm a little bitch, yeah? But I was like, no, fuck that. I just took it, put it on SoundCloud. And I kid you not, thank you for reminding me, we've got an EDM remix that will drop immediately after this podcast. I should put it. There's a real EDM remix of it, because it was the watershed moment here, because a lot of times you can have done something amazing, but your insecurities, your imposter syndrome, you can't see it. So it was at that point that I just realized, because again, dude, for up until a week before that, my subnet was constantly broken. I was constantly stressed. So sometimes when you're too deep into stuff, you don't realize that, wow, I'm actually doing okay. So that was a very important moment in Templar's history. But honestly, I don't think it's for Templar. I think it's for the whole of Bittensor. Because, we're all normal people trying to do extraordinary shit. And, sometimes the world might not understand it. And even us, we might not understand it either. But, just don't sell the dream. Keep pushing forward. But yeah, it was funny because it was it was like I was literally telling Jake that, oh, come on, Jake, you act too impulsive, blah, blah, blah. They're like, wait a minute. Put it on SoundCloud, and yeah, it was viral. But again, I don't think it belongs to Templar. It belongs to the whole of Bittensor.
And Templar specifically, what would you say is your vision for Templar? How would you explain what Templar is to people?
So there's two things. For me, I don't have a traditional AI background. My background is actually I spent almost a decade in blockchains. And the promise of blockchains brought me in. I actually believed in it, but they failed. They failed. And when I joined the OTF, I was very I was sad. Like I was almost depressed, because I got robbed at my last startup. Robbed the call, literally. So I was kind of disenfranchised with the whole thing. It was just a money thing. And through Bittensor, I found meaning. I actually found meaning. And then decentralized trading. Now, decentralized trading is, I think it's humanity's last stand. Because there's been many, iterations fail, but a theme eventually succeeds. Now, if you look at iterations as the x-axis, and the theme as the y-axis, and iterations as the x-axis, the theme represents what the innovation, what is trying to be built. Then the x-axis, the iteration, is humanity's best attempt at achieving it. Now, take for example, look at the steam engine, yeah, or automation. There were many iterations where mankind put all these dreams, all those best aspirations, and let's do it, and it's failed. Explosions. Then eventually, out of nowhere, we get the steam engine. Then out of nowhere, we get airplanes. So because an iteration fails, iterations can fail, but ultimately, the theme survives. Now, circle back. You look at things like the internet. Yeah, the internet, blockchain, decentralized AI. They are the same, the different iterations of the same theme. It is sovereignty, it is agency, it is freedom. Those are things that are unbelievably important. So for me, someone that's, I was in a mess. I was okay, but but you just have no bears. You're just living paycheck to paycheck. But Bittensor and decentralized AI gave me that. Wow, this is it. This is something to live for. Because you get to a point, I'm not rich or anything, but I'm old enough to just realize that, it's the money isn't everything. And you have to, there has to be things that people work towards. And the promise of open, permissionless, free, free AI built on antifragile foundations, I don't think there's any cause more noble. So when you ask for my vision for Templar is this iteration of freedom, which I think might be at last. Because once we lose this, it's over. It's we need to be able to create base models. Anyone that tells you don't is LARPing. Creating a base model is literally the cosmic energy of the universe. It's harnessing fire. So we can't assume that the hyperscalers, Google, Meta, Alibaba. Do you know why? They will burn our books. They will rewrite history if we let them do that. So it's such an important fight, and it's very easy because Mark Zuckerberg is wearing gold chains now, kind of like the ones you got on. It doesn't mean this guy didn't steal democracy twice. Because Google's got nice logos and they've got nice UX, they are rife with privacy and humanitarian violations. And these the people that Prometheus is going to give fire to, and you're going to let them have it. No way. We need to fight. So for me, it's the technology is cool, but it's I think not being a blockchain, an AI person, I have to comment to it from what resonates with me the most. And it's not trading over the internet. No, it's freedom. It's not a net. For me. It's not a nerd snipe because I've had to hire people that understand it better than me to be nerd sniped. But that sole thing, freedom, it's so important because it's not like, we're still way off from being able to beat Google and OpenAI. But with every year, our collective effort exponentiates. We are moving so much closer because it's all really funny here. Because anyone that thinks DeepSeek is doing this out of open source, no. They're trying to neutralize yourself. So it's kind of like some game theory where DeepSeek is just throwing out all the secrets to reduce American competitive advantage. And we're just here going, we're just here like Kirby gobbling it up. So, we are rising. And I think if this is what I spend the rest of my life doing, it'll be a life well lived.
A point that is made often that comes with a little bit of controversy every time it's said is Templar is the only true decentralized training run. Why is that the case? Is that the case? And why is that always said?
Because of step one. What was the most important thing for me to do? Yeah? It wasn't okay, so there's a couple of things. If I believe freedom, decentralized, permissionless are the most important qualities of my system, what do I build first? You build permissionlessness, you build antifragileness, you build no centralized controls, and also it's impossible to build anything else on Bittensor. But you understand what I mean? So I think I always had this, worries that, I'm not an AI guy, yeah? So, but I think not being an AI guy has helped me hold on to the most important thing, which I think for decentralized training, you could always hire for these things. Luckily, we've passed an initial bump on, we've passed a little bit of inertia. We have a bit of mindshare now. We have emissions now. We can hire. But understanding, the reason, it's not something you can hire for. It's something that has to be built into the protocol. That's one. Now, and two, I had the code to do 70 billion before this, before it started. But before I launched. But if I'd done 70 billion, do you know how long it would have taken me to fix stuff, to realize what was broken? Because literally, and honestly, everyone else is doing it, but you see Prime, their top model, their 32B model, they didn't do that well. Noose's model, and these are amazing teams. I learned by reading their code. But it's understand what fight you want to fight. Because, you see, tomorrow you hear somebody's doing a 200 billion parameter model, and you get excited. But what are the metrics that matter? Is it me? Is it theirs? I don't know. But you need to understand, because I've got a 1.2 billion, Templar's a 1.2 billion parameter model now. But in my eyes, and the eyes of my community, it will claim its place in history as the first time in the world it has ever been done. And that's enough, that's okay, woo, celebrate. On to the next thing. You understand? Because for us, having that anti-fragility and anti-fragile open, it's the most important thing. Fuck your parameter size, man. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Because one thing you need to realize about training is you have BFT, which is Byzantine fault tolerance, is usually, PBFT is about 67% honest nodes. Then you have Bitcoin, 50% honest nodes. I don't know the number, but I can swear training is 98%. So it's so hard. Permissionless training is so hard. And not only is it so hard, to do it the real Bittensor way, it is crazy. Because you can do another thing where you nullify the miners. You understand what I mean? You don't give because Templar's design philosophy is, so I did very pure Bittensor. You create the incentive the validation mechanism, harden it, make sure that these miners aren't fucking with you, and you outsource innovation. And through that innovation, emergence happens. Like crazy things. Miners well aligned will do anything. So we need to do that. So, and if you want to do that, it becomes very hard to do things like, oh yeah, we just ZK it. It's like when you ZK it, you first of all, you use Bittensor, yeah, because then you are very prescriptive about your network topology, how you want gradients, and we just don't want to do that because I think emergence is one of the strongest properties of Bittensor. And emergence is when you set the impossible, and the miner tells you, "Fuck you, I've done it." Yeah, I like literally, "Fuck you, I've done it," and we see emergence everywhere in Bittensor.
And the design choice to start with the 1.2 billion parameter model, was this purely for the speed of iteration, the feedback loop, to do as
Yeah,
much
exactly.
as possible?
Exactly. I could, at 1.2 billion parameter, I could break it 5 times a day and launch it again 5 times a day. That is literally what it was. I could figure out what was wrong with little resources, because again, like, you don't want to get to the end of training and realize you've wasted, 2 weeks of compute. So 1.2 bill was such a sweet size. It helped us, and it also helped us force our miners to play nice. So now, as we scale up, like, new things happen, but that fundamental iteration of 1.2, we couldn't have done it without 1.2. We couldn't have done it at 30. Impossible.
And then, can you go over what the process looks like for miners, validators, and the subnet owner, the whole Bittensor aspect of this decentralized training that you do?
Okay, so subnet owners, we are game masters, we're dungeon masters. We create a game, yeah, and for our game, it is, hey miner, pick this page from this massive data set. You train as hard as you can on it, and within this time period, then you broadcast it to the rest of us. Then when we get it, other miners will pull it, but validators will score you. We will score you on whether or not you've been cheating, because the first thing people did, they were copying buckets. They were just copying each other's buckets and not running. It's like weight copying. We have versions of weight copy. That was actually funny. Then, do your gradients reduce the loss on these pages more than the validator's loss? That was also a really good one. What else? Then all of a sudden, that was what we did at first. Then, because we use a loss improvement score, which is how much is your loss better than the violator's one. Then, because the subnet was so broken for a long time, we never reached past 3,000 steps. So, when we finally got there, we realized that at like 3,500 steps, we realized that, oh my God, the training run is going well, but because the further you go along the training, the less your loss improves. It starts off very sharply. The miners weren't getting scored. So we're like, yeah, fuck the miners, like, they should do it for us. But if the miners are not getting scored, they're just going to put off their GPUs. So we had to go back to, like, there's a guy on my team, Joel, amazing guy. He used to be a miner. So he developed a Halo scoring, like Elo scores, where instead of just using the absolute loss improvement, you pit miners in like competitive battles against each other, and whoever comes on top. So that's actually quite robust right now. And yeah, so that's what it is. That's the entire validation. We call it Gauntlet. That's literally what our paper is on, because it's a contribution to science. It's, how do you align evil people or just rational economic actors?
And you do that with a method, I believe that's called demo. I don't know what that stands for.
Oh, no. So demo is actually by News Research. Shout out to Emo and Jeff and everyone else has worked on it. And that's for decoupled momentum. So what that is just it's a top K specification compression method, yeah, where instead of broadcasting the whole gradient, you analyze it. You run it through like some DCT formula. You analyze it and say, okay, from this gradient, these are the most important layers. They're the fast-moving components of momentum. So let's discard everything else and just send this compressed bit. And eventually, because when you go through transformers and like there's a lot of redundant layers, there's a lot of dead layers, but you can analyze the most important ones and pick them out and just send them over. So that's what demo is.
But what is the method that you guys use called?
Demo, it's still demo right now, but we're working on Vera. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Demo is just communications. Demo is not us. Demo is like work that Muse did. But we're working on different flavors or something else that will, give us that will incorporate things we've learned with demo and move us forward.
And then you guys also use a synchronous training approach. How does being synchronous affect the training or the system's efficiency and scalability compared to asynchronous?
So it's a good question. So in synchronous training, it's all about what step you do the communication what stage you do the communication step. So for us, we need to train, communicate. So at step one, we need to train for step one and communicate for step one. But with a synchronous training, you can train for step two while you communicate step one. It's a sort of different, but it's more like so you can have overlapping operations and make it slightly more efficient. We're moving towards that, but we have more fundamental things we're solving now. But we're moving towards that. But for this, it was just again you can't boil it for us. It was just one dev vibe coding, and I had to be very, very particular about what I wanted to, how I wanted to run, how I wanted to work this. And it had to be, what I understood the most, which is incentives. So Templar 1 is not, it's a research model. It's not, I can make this joke, it's not going to replace Sonnet anytime soon. But I think, one small step for DAI, one small step for Templar, massive step for decentralized AI, permissionless training.
Yeah, the 1.2 billion parameter model could be considered the 0 to 1 step for you guys almost.
Yeah, definitely. Because now we just have to worry about code. And code is so much, what's his name? Sepp Bloomberg from, where does he work for?
Crucible?
I keep missing. Eh? No, it's not Crucible anymore.
Unsupervised capital.
Unsupervised. Yeah, I called them on constrained once, and Sammy was like, nah. Sammy was like, that's a good name. Yeah, I can unsupervised. But Seth is actually a very good thing thinking about this. Is that a lot of the AI crowd are very nerd sniped on the communication efficiency of decentralized training. But there's two other pillars that are equally as hard as the rest, as the communications bits, incentives and verification. Now, Templar does a bit of, so Templar has borrowed the work from the communication layer from Muse, and I read Prime Code a lot. Those guys are top chefs. But for them, I think Templar is the only one that I don't know anyone else that has the incentive bits locked down. You understand? And the verification bit is also something that's very, very hard. And Templar is kind of doing it, but we're not even there yet. So it's like, we're not even there yet because, dude, I don't have time for, there'll be a time when I need to understand what's the best kind of verification. But it's something that worries me because, if it's ZK, it's hard to keep ZK expressive. So, we'll cross that when we get there. So now we're working on now that we have step two, which is our contribution to the field, we can now work with 1 and 2, which is scaling comms and incentive design.
For verification, you said to keep ZK expressive. What do you mean by that?
No. So my problem is, if we use ZK and stuff like this, it takes away the expressiveness that we try to preserve of the miners. Because you say, oh, you constrain. So in ZK, you create a circuit, yeah, and you have to constrain your outputs to a certain range so that it can be checked like by the verifier. But when we do that, we lose emergence. So we're not working on that yet. What these guys, Jensen have interesting papers on I think they've done the most interesting work that I know of on verification, and it's Verde, and they also have some stuff. They have cool stuff, but it's just not a problem I want to deal with now. I just want to go bigger and faster.
It's not a problem yet, but
Look,
when the 6 trillion parameter model comes, what will be the problems then?
No. So it depends. It depends. So take for example here, we only trained Templar 1 on 100 billion parameters. At that model size, you probably want 1 trillion, but we only need 100 billion because no one's going to use a 1 billion. You can't have. We're not specializing on small language models. That's not what we're looking for. We want to go really big. So we're not going to spend extra compute training to 1 trillion. And same thing with this verification is eventually we will get there, and maybe in the next 2-3 months, it might be something to think about. But for now, we just need to make that number go up.
Number go up. What are the scaling laws of the design you're using? How do you anticipate problems arising as you scale up?
How do I realize what are arising?
What are going to be the challenges in making number go up of the parameters?
Communications, because we need to make communications more efficient. We can push the limits of FSDP to as much as we can, but right now we use data parallel, and data parallel is where every model has a copy. Every participant, every node, they call them accelerator, has a copy of the model, and you just swap it around. This is not and you can't scale that this much. You can only scale it to 70. It doesn't work. But for us, it really fits into that minor validator model for Bittensor. And I like that very much. But we probably have to do tensor parallelism soon to get to those really, really big models. And that is not sexy. That is not sexy to design. I think in Bittensor, I have a very good feeling we're going to be getting tensor parallelism next week. But it's just for me, I don't know. It'll be good to see how that to see how that goes.
And just to get to the point of 1.2 billion parameters took many, many months. So what are the war stories, the battle stories that led you to this point?
Those guys fucked with my life so much, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. But it's crazy is that these things teach you a lot about yourself, yeah. And miners will treat you how you treat them on average. And that's the truth. And that on average is very important. A dickhead is always going to be a dickhead. A good person is more likely to be a good person. But on average, miners are people. You understand? So if you treat them like a dickhead, they will respond to you like that. So, we spent the first 2 months just PvP. And guess who lost? Guess who lost? Dude, on Christmas Day, I was getting violated. I pushed out, violated, bro. I pushed out. Let me even check Town Market card to make sure. Dude, I pushed out an upgrade. I'm yeah, Christmas with the wife, I'm gonna go celebrate, banging, pushed out an upgrade. Bro, I spent the whole of Christmas, yeah, fighting because they figured out that because I wasn't checking the norms, I wasn't normalizing our outputs, they could send really large, they could train with really low learning rates and really low or large learning rates and manipulate the gradients so that someone was exploiting me. That happened. Then on New Year's Eve, I was like, okay, let's get in a cheeky little PR so I can post on my Discord, Happy New Year, Templar doesn't sleep, Templar works. Bro, they exploited me on New Year's too. So I think when Templar changed was when, I was asking cons for help, like, blah, 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 bro, give me my old job back, like, this is fucking bullshit, man. like, I thought there was an OTF cabal, man. Like, why are you giving me weights? Like, just give me weights or, like, give me my job back. Like, I don't want this fucking thing. And Const went into my channel and said, Sam is struggling. Can anyone help? And I was pissed off. I was fucking pissed off that you look like a pussy. I'm like, no, because you see, you need to learn a lot of. So, and it's taken a while to realize this, yeah. Honest, transparent conversation in this age of AI and GPTs and politics and people being cons, speaking from the heart is the most powerful form of communication. It's not about like using nice synonyms or whatever. Can they hear you? Can they feel you? And I was like, okay, guys, I need help. And after that, it became PvP. PvP almost disappeared. I kid you not. The miners became an extension. So when I tell people, yeah, Templar one dev, no, it's not a lie. There are at least 15 devs that helped with it. But I had to find myself to understand that you do like that's why this subnet owner thing. You're not a subnet. They should stop calling it subnet owner. You are a community manager at best. You are a community. You are DevRel. And I think that's why they still piss me off. Like, don't get it. Like a lot of times, like they ask me for stuff, then I'm about to type and like, don't do it. They'll rug. Don't do it. They'll rug. But it's a very fundamental thing that you are not a demagogue. Or if you treat them like a demagogue, see, so this is the detail here. And why people, don't get it twisted. Miners dumb. They do. But it's about detail. It's about creating something of value that they don't want to dump. And it's very hard. Creating something of value that they don't want to dump. You understand? And how does that happen? It doesn't matter how many slides you have, whatever. It's about, do they own this with you? Did they create this with you? You understand? Or are they just people that you will slash their thing with that? You understand? Who are you accountable to? Is it the miners or is it the investors? Now, this is a question I don't know, and I struggle with because, in this new world, we're going to have to deal with investors. But for me, it's like, first of all, I don't talk to investors that well. And second, it's the miners built this with me. The miners, we are your exit liquidity. So they are the people I understand. They're the people that have fought this war with me so far. And for us to get to the level, it's the miners I need. Because, the miners brought the investors. And, at least in detail, investment is like pumps and dumps. It's promiscuous liquidity. It's I cannot say it so much how much I hate price. Because while it's good, yeah, it doesn't tell me, do I have AGI? No. What price means is that something happened that caused something to happen that might have caused something to happen that got people excited. That's all it is. You understand? So, it's like, so an investor, so if you start looking at price, you start to optimize for the wrong things. Oh, let me post that, let me check my social media, let me post the top engagement, which is okay at a stage. But what Templar is, we just need to be mission driven. We just need to be in the fucking trenches. I need those miners give me good gradients, good vibes until we get there. Now, Templar needs to scale, and it's one of the stuff we're working on because, it's no more this vibe coded thing, and I'm actually getting a lot of more good, amazing talent coming in. So what does that look like? I don't know. But keeping that chaos, keeping that core, keeping things I find essential to the mission alive is probably, that's what my job is. Like that's going to be my job, not vibe coding, distributed.
And when you create something of value that the miners want to hold, what are your thoughts on tokenized model ownership?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. So I keep telling people like whenever people ask me like I always made the mistake of not, and I probably do that now, of not explaining Templar's monetization strategy, and it's maybe hubris because I'm always like, bro, can you see what I'm doing for humanity? Like, what are you asking me for? You're fucking like yeah. But again, people need like to build their convictions and like I didn't understand how big this was going to be when I started working on it. How can I expect someone that just come on Discord and sing Templar and wants to understand? So it's like, see, pre-training is the only moat. It's the only moat in AI. Everything else gets absorbed. Yeah. So it's train or be trained on. Look at what's happening to Cursor and Windsurf. You know that Anthropic cut off Windsurf, or they after the OpenAI acquisition, or they like delayed their Cursor updates. Microsoft is about to cut, yes, yeah, and yeah. So you have stuff like that. If you look at stuff like Cursor 3.703, they don't work. They're not Cursor Cloud Subnet 3.7 and 03. They don't work that well with Cursor because these things start to inherit agentic behaviors, function calling, all those things that used to be auxiliary services. So my thesis is that eventually everything will collapse into training, and those that are able to train have the most valuable resources. Now, what I'm seeing, and one of my theses that actually played into playing into reality is if you look at fine tuning. Yeah, what people used to do is that you get a base model. Yeah, you get like Llama 2, Quen 2, or Templar 3. Jokes. Or you get a base model. Yeah, then you say, okay, here's my data. Let's fine tune you so that you focus on my base model. But I'm seeing this evidence that this isn't enough, and companies are now coming up with foundational models, specialized foundational models. Where are they going to get the compute from? Yes, sir. Because Netflix can do it, Stripe can do it, but what if you wanted the foundation model? Where will you get that from? What if like small to medium-sized business wanted the foundation model? As the demand for intelligence rises, the demand for better, more specialized intelligence, which is more than what the fine tuning gives you. That's where Templar will dominate. The people will buy, labs, institutions, universities will buy our tokens to trade on it because training a large model on an LLM on Templar will be the best place you can do it. Yeah, then yeah. So the thing with token, yeah, and we can also explore like token gated models. But the problem with that is it's almost like copyright. You understand what I mean? It's almost like copyright, and it's like how do you yeah, we have the guys looking at it. I wanted to, when we start to look at monetization strategy a bit more, we will look at it, but it's definitely something that can be done on Bittensor and with Gamma.
So one thing that stuck out to me there is you think all the functionality of all these different tools will just be absorbed within foundational models?
100%. 1000%. Like literally 1000%. It's like gradually deplatforming. It's like gradually deplatforming. That's deplatforming the age of AI. It's give us all your data, use our APIs, and get the fuck out of here. That's what it is. That's literally what it is. Like I'm so certain with everything I see is, and also let's create artificial barriers for people to be able to do this themselves. They say, oh, don't worry guys, we've got it. Here's a free model. Hey, there's a free model, yeah. Here's a free. Have you tried to use any of Meta's artifacts on Hugging Face? They make you sign like somebody has to physically approve your profile to use their tokenizer. It's not open source, but it's open-ish source.
What are your favorite open source models?
DeepSeek is pretty good. DeepSeek. So yeah, DeepSeek is pretty good. Llama 3, I haven't used that much, but DeepSeek Llama 1 was quite good. But again, honestly, like most of us still use closed source models. Like that's the truth. That's the truth. Like I still use, yeah. Like I'm trying to beat, like because you can use DeepSeek for stuff like reducing your token, like giving you the initial draft, but we still use O3. Gemini is pretty good, but again, we use that to catch up on the edge, to close the distance.
And DeepSeek, they take a different approach, I believe, than what you do to the type of model they make, right?
Yeah.
Like there's this mixture of experts or some form like that. It's not like a true or normal foundational model.
No. Yeah. DeepSeek, those guys cooked so hard. First of all, they have a dense. They've done so much. Like I don't think there's enough time in the podcast. But basically, it's a dense model. Sorry, it's a mixture of experts model. Now the problem with mixture of experts is that so a mixture of experts, in a transformer block, in a transformer model, you have different layers. You have a feed forward layer, then you have an attention layer, then you have an attention layer. So what a mixture of expert does is, they swap out those feed forward models. Yeah. So imagine you have one feed forward network. Yeah. You swap it out, then you put a box, then you put 17 to 20 feed forward networks into that box, and those are what they call the experts. Yeah. So what this means is that, like, the experts learn different parts or different semantics of your model. So whenever you do inference, you have to load balance between those experts. So when the tokens come in, you have to put like a load balancer in front, and you need to like do those communication stuff. Now, one of the things DC pioneered among a lot of things is they use multi-latent attention. So first of all, it reduces inference cost, and inference cost already reduced for mixture of experts, because you never have to load that many activate. If an MAE has 200 million parameters, it can be that it can do inference with only like 50 million activated. So that already gives them an economy of scale. But now, you remember I said there's something called a router, yeah? So you have to load balance your calls between all the experts. Now they've developed a means of creating auxiliary loss-free load balancing, because usually when you do that, it's inefficient. So those are one of the things that DeepSeek cooked. Then they cooked special kernels. Like they did so much. Like when you read the whole DeepSeek technical report, you just realize that fuck. Like it's not just I've said there's communication, there's incentives, there is verification, there's also hardware. No one's fucking doing hardware. Like there's hardware. Like we need to push on hardware too.
There's hardware, and you guys don't specify for hardware at all for what the miner.
Not yet. I'd love to do that. In fact, one of the things I wanted to build before was a kernel design subnet. But it's something that we also need to push in the open source space, like open source hardware kernels, like because OpenAI is not the target. It's not the opponent. It's Google. They have all your data. They do not pay Jensen for chips. They have their own chips. They have TPUs. So, like, I think the next thing that accelerates open source, one of the things that will accelerate open source AI is competitive open source chips. Not Blackwell, not Gracewell, or whatever Jensen was, but
how would an open source chip work though?
I don't know. I don't know yet. But because a lot of this is proprietary knowledge, but there's examples of people using them. It's already happening. People are using GPRO to produce like better, more efficient kernels. So if we can drive that to the level of more efficient PCI boards, more efficient chip designs. It was literally one of the subnets I wanted to build before, before Templar. But I just need to find people that know it more and try to put together. Like, it's definitely because hardware is one thing that no one talks about. Everyone knows this, but it's such a big push. And when you do it on Bittensor, they'll be like, "Oh, where's your revenue?" It's like when you do a Bittensor, be like, "Oh, where's your revenue?" It's like, dude, like if this works, like revenue is such a moonshot. I think Bittensor was made for moonshots, and focusing on revenue just means that I mean, don't worry, we'll give you revenue, but it's like there's some things that are so much. There's some things Bittensor should be investing in, like longevity research, like things that are crazy, like that are out of this world. That is what businesses should be doing, not we've got this API. You click a button.
So you were designing a subnet for hardware? What, the design or the manufacturing?
No.
What did
I
that
never,
look
I
like?
never, I never actually did it. So
Okay.
before this, I wrote a storage subnet. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I coded a version and I deleted the repo. Storage is impossible. True decentralized storage is one of the hardest things in the world. Because, you see, unlike things like decentralized AI, where you can kind of LARP a bit, storage is hardcore technology that people have perfected for decades. You understand? So getting the decentralized world to work, like you're fucking around with like shards of data on P2P you can't find. It is so difficult. That's actually the like I've actually got the hold on, I'll send you the my plan. I actually said that, yeah guys, look, I've done this. I called it ARC. I'm so grateful I never launched it. And too much respect for Storm, Hippios, and anyone else trying to do decentralized storage. It's terribly hard.
That leads me right into why you guys use R2 buckets for storage.
You decide what you want to fight. Yeah. Literally, it's all about what you want to fight. Is it the P2P communications layer or is it the incentives? For us, we really like our two because they're really, they're cheap, high bandwidth, high performance, and most importantly, they give us timestamps that we bake into our incentive mechanism to make sure miners aren't cheating. So you have to drop, so we use the blockchain as a more like a timekeeper, and you need to ensure that you've done this by this time and you're not cheating. So we like them.
And the not cheating, the timestamps is important for, I assume, what, relay mining?
No, not really, man. Copying, and also forcing, like first of all, it's copying, and it's also but not really for copying, forcing people to be more performant. So I tell you that you have to drop this gradient by 10 seconds into the next window. You said so the miners are now optimizing for speed and quality, and that's how
Yeah.
we just push them towards where we want them to go.
And when optimizing for these things, how do you prevent uh, malicious gradients or bad gradients from being injected or updating the global state of the model?
We don't have to, we're not there yet. So we can have, so there's different levels of, that's the verification problem. We can verify, and there's different kinds of adversarial models. For our adversarial model, it's a weak adversary that just wants to score better. You understand? He just wants to manipulate to score better. Now, a stronger adversarial model is nation state that wants to just, come in and like, say winning the pool and piss CCP off, stuff like that. We're not there yet, but hopefully, like as we grow, we will look at it. I mean, there's stuff like the stuff Jansen's doing seems really interesting. Verde, there's a proof of learning. I think the guys at Prime, have work for inference, but training is a lot harder than inference. And I think I was talking to the people at Ezekiel. they do have some solution for this using Ezekiel, but for me, it's tomorrow's problem, tomorrow's sorrow.
And you say the target is Google. You want to go after Google. You don't see
Yep.
OpenAI as the leader. You don't see Anthropic as the leader. You say Google.
It's because Google's the strongest. Like these guys do not have anything on Google. Like it's like they have like they're on borrowed time. Google is a Leviathan. Google has all the data. Google has all the hardware. Like OpenAI, like I'm sure like Suje, Transformers came out of Google. So Google is like they've been. I mean, they were slow to get to it, but now that they've picked up their cadence, it's ultimately them. But again, it's not I want to go out against Google. It's like because again, we're just one person. We're just one team. Like we're just one team. But we should remove this PvP. Like fuck PvP, man. Is that because we should all be working together to beat Google. Like literally, we should like all this like Bittensor. It's very easy to get absorbed in like all these little metas or bullshit that doesn't even matter. But literally, it's like every moment we spend, fighting Bittensor, or fighting or jumping on the new meta, is we're closer to dying. Because we are because we will just fade into obscurity, all of us.
What are your thoughts on Google's new video model?
I don't really care about video models. Like I heard it's good, but I mean, it's
Care
like
about language?
Google. It is, but it's like there's a lot of things like so we don't look at like multi-modal models or stuff like that just yet because we're just not there yet. We're just not there yet, and I haven't actually tried it. I do use Gemini because it's got a crazy context window. Like you see, the thing with context windows is that advertise and utilize. They're like GPU cores. You can never use all your GPU cores because most machine learning code isn't made to leverage them. Now with Gemini, around 200K, your context breaks down. So even though it says it has 1 million context, it's more. I think it's closer to 150K of effective context. But nonetheless, they cook. I quite enjoy them.
And you said you hadn't looked at multi-modal models yet, but do you think there'll be something on y'all's horizon?
Yes, definitely. So again, you see, there's a couple of things that you have to do, then you exponentiate. You understand? So whether it's the multimodal, trimodal, omnimodal, it's training. Like it's saying, all training is saying, okay, step 1 to 2, we're going to put some sugar. Step 2, we're going to sprinkle some stardust, blah blah blah. But you need to know how to work all the way to step 100,000. So that's what we're just perfecting now. Like I mean, obviously I'm straw manning it, but training is just people sprinkling different kind of shit. And like so once you have the platforms, the infrastructure, the talent to do this, you can do almost anything. Diffusion models, photosynthetic models. Like you can do any kind of model. But and that's for us. That's why we stay very focused. Like a lot of people are looking at decentralized RL. For us, it's like that's not the game we want to play because we want to understand how to harness the sun. And mastering pre-training is harnessing the sun.
And you have a team now. It used to be just a one-man army. So
Oh,
who is your
yeah.
team? What's your team? What's your hiring process like? Are you building the
What's my
40-man
hiring process
corporation?
like? No. It's I've got a company, but my hiring process is vibes. So the first person I hired, was a very old friend, because the problem with me is that Bittensor is you hire someone, they exploit you when they leave work. That is Bittensor. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't even want to hire. Like I had some people that were useless, like yourself. So I just thought, you know what, like it's just me and the miners. But unfortunately, that only worked to some extent. And Templar needs to go to the next level. And, luckily with Templar 1 and, giving our contribution, we're getting a lot of inbound. Like I've seen a lot of profiles that would have spat at me 3 months ago. Okay, fuck out of here, peasant. You understand? So, and that is what Templar needs to do. They're taking the Templar to the next level. So I've got a senior researcher. Right now we're four full time. I want to grow to 6. Then maybe because one thing I don't want to do is like grow to a stage where I'm managing people. At least not now, because I just want to be in the source. Like,
You want to be in the sauce. Speaking of the
uh,
sauce, you're the guy that created Liquid Alpha. When's that going to be live on your subnet?
oh no, dude! That liquid, like I told you, you said you asked on Towel Talks, dude. I didn't know what I was doing when I wrote Liquid Alpha. I was in the foundation for 2 weeks, and I was trying to impress cons. And back then, what was it? GPT-2 wasn't very good. Like, I mean, Liquid Alpha, it's interesting, but it will probably work better in UMA 3 for people that use it. But for me, it's like I need to get to a point where I can take a step back and assess UMA 3 and how much of a lift it is for us. Because if it's something that's going to open Templar up to 6 months worth of attacks, that means it's 6 months worth of Bittensor I need to code. It's a very hard decision for us. So that's why I think people that want there's probably some good in Liquid in UMA 3, but it should be opt-in. Like it should be opt-in. Like I think it should be opt-in because people again it's a difficult thing because everyone should be forced to do this, but you can't trust subnet owners on Bittensor. You cannot. Like you can't trust anyone. So they can manipulate it. They can. Don't know. That's something else will manipulate UMA too, though. But I would just have to look at when the time comes. What are the needs of my subnet? Because I'm accountable to the tau holders, but I'm also accountable to my token holders. So there's this double effect of 2 layers of consideration where, dude, I'm trying to bring the best value to, well, to be honest, I know, not my token, not really my token, because I believe that once we get to the destination, value is unmatched. Like, I don't even know what the price is then. So for me, it's just every day keep running there. Keep running there. Now, if it's going to be something that's going to take me 6 months of whack-a-mole, it's really not inviting to me. Like, it's really, you understand? And I bet that's the same thing for all the top subnets. But the problem is that I used to lead blockchain at the foundation. I don't remember a lot of the blockchain anymore, but I know enough to understand the implications of things. A lot of people, they maybe don't care where they should, but yeah, we'll handle that when it comes.
The roadmap of Templar. What does it look like going forward? Is it just 30 billion parameter model, 500 billion, a trillion, or are there other things on your roadmap besides just bigger models?
No, bigger models, verification, and at some point we need to start looking at, what does the product look like? So after some billions, like I don't know what yet, we need to start doing a lot more product work. But for now, we're all into R&D and beating eating out the biggest, the strongest model. And that's going on for at least 6 more months.
What is your ultimate goal for Templar and for yourself personally?
The purpose of power is to be able to give it away. Templar is successful when I can transfer ownership of that owner key to someone or some entity and be left assured that we've created something of enduring value. Then I want to do Bittensor DevRel. At least you want to be on Twitter all day, just eating Bittensor. No, but on a real note, I think that's my vision for Templar. It's something of value, not the normal Web3, we're exiting the community, but the owners are rocking. No. Like, I want to be able to leave this thing that's I built something that lasts me. Outlast me. And the only way you can do that is to have something of value. And the only way it can outlast you is if you give it away. It can't be a company. Companies are finite. Corporations are finite. It has to be something, it has to be an ideology, it has to be a religion. Yeah, that's my vision. Because the religion, the Marxists, the people that believe in the idea of what you're building, they are the people that will keep it alive. Not your token price. I mean, it's all interconnected. So that's what it is. So anyone, I like the price, but it stresses me out. I mean, the price is very important for a business, but it's not. Sometimes when I see a pop, I'm like, oh, who's this? Is it a fucking trader? I need to try not to look at house stats. Oh my God, this is a trader. He's just going to break my heart at $13 at 0.13. It's just, this guy, they're savages. They're not pseudo on stake all nuke 5 subnets. So that's why I don't like sometimes when it's pumping, I just go, oh God. Like in the Templar channel, I kid you not, go into the Gamma channel, every time it's never, oh guys, sorry we dumped. Every time we pump to steady lads, steady, don't get too excited. Because you need to keep them grounded. Because even for me, it's a lot. So it's all about like guys, this it goes up, it goes down. Yeah.
Like you said earlier, price is just a sentiment gauge almost.
Dude, it's the coarsest, it's the bullshit signal. Like honestly, if we dump when you post this, does it mean the tech got worse? Does it mean the tech got worse? I mean, it means I'm never talking to you again. And I might block you on Discord, but it's not really talking about Templar.
Well, Sam, I'm going to ask you one last question, and that will be the podcast for today. And that is, what advice do you have for developers trying to build successful incentive mechanisms on Bittensor? And then how do you thrive in Bittensor given all of your success?
Huh? Hold on.
Did you lose me? I can repeat it.
Yeah?
Uh,
What's your, I missed you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. What advice do you have for developers to be successful building incentive mechanisms in Bittensor? And how do you thrive at large in Bittensor given all of your success?
Oh, dude, I don't think I'm successful. I'm really flattered. But it's great. It's grit. Absolute grit. 100% grit. That's it. Just keep going. Don't wait to understand it. Pick up a subnet code, read it, just grit, just keep going and ask, make friends. I don't know. Because it's not about where you're from, it's more about how much you're ready to bleed. That's what Bittensor is.
Well, Sam, you surely have enough grit for Bittensor. So
I hope so.
thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Love to meet you. Bye.